I don't know if living out here in the hinterlands, you guys get too many opportunities to confront celebrities, people that you admire who are famous or mildly famous. So I used to live in New York and bump into celebrities somewhat frequently. Well, never mind that. I mean, I was just like this, still am, like a nerd, geeky, the kind of kid who would line up at a record store if somebody was signing their records. Like, so I have a long history of like sort of confronting people that I admire their work and then walking away from the encounter totally embarrassed and feeling like a complete idiot. And it never seems to work out with me and people that I admire artistically. Joe Jackson, he was signing records at J&R Music, and I think I brought like his first two albums and his fourth album. His third album was like was an album of like big band covers, and I handed him the albums, and he's like, "Where's that? Where's that third album?" And I was like, the Coen brothers. I saw them outside of the opening night of Raising Arizona in Manhattan, and I had just seen this other movie that they had written that Sam Raimi had directed called Crime Wave. It barely got released or didn't get released and was just showing as a midnight movie. And I had heard that they were, sort of ashamed of that movie, but I really loved it. And I walked up, I said, what's your problem with Crime Wave? And they're like, I don't have a problem with Crime Wave. Fuck away from us, asshole. Bob Mould from Husker Du. I saw him at a club that my band was playing at once, and handed him our 7-inch that we were hawking, and just like, well, thanks. And then my favorite band of all time, The Replacements.
Enough's enough?
Yeah, enough's enough. Second favorite. But The Replacements, I saw them. I was on a very edgy hip trip to England with my grandparents. And,
That's a good line for the beginning of my novel. Stories right there.
yeah.
Could you say that again? I was at the beginning.
I'm not saying anything again.
I was at a very edgy. That's the beginning of your novel. My grandparents.
My cousin Karen and I broke out of the hotel one night and went to a nightclub where The Replacements were playing, like outside of London.
Wow.
And I don't know if you know anything about England the way I do, but the buses don't run that late, and we got out there and then we got stranded after the show. But I knew we were going to see them, and I knew it was a small club, so I had a cassette of my band and tried to hand my cassette over to Tommy Stinson. And again, just sort of like, don't give me anything. And then I saw them again. They were signing records at Tower Records downtown on Broadway, and they were really, really drunk. And Tommy Stinson was wandering around signing like all the CDs and all the shelves. Like he was signing Bob Dylan albums, which was really cool. But then I somehow got up there and this was like a couple months after this English show that I had seen, and they hadn't really played that long that night, and I asked Paul Westerberg if they were going to play longer that night at the Beacon Theater than they had played in England, and he's like, "What do you want, blood?" It just never works out for me. I always say the wrong thing.
Delivery.
Yes, it's all in the delivery. Anyway, then Paul Westerberg, they broke up, The Replacements, and then Paul Westerberg like disappeared for a while, and then the other thing about him was that all my favorite songs of his, I never got to see him play live. Like I would see them every tour, and like whatever was the best song on any given album, like they just wouldn't play it. And then he had put out a couple of solo albums and hadn't toured or played live at all. And finally, after like 5 years, he decided to come out and play some record stores, like some in-store things, because he finally had a new album out. So he played these free shows inside of record stores, and he was doing one in Chicago. So I drove from here to Chicago and waited in line and got in to see this in-store record store appearance, and somehow made it into the front row. So I was right up at the stage. It wasn't really, they sort of like built a platform for him to stand on to sing some songs. And I had this song in my head that I had loved and really wanted to hear him play, and just knew that he wasn't going to play. But I was close enough to sort of like call out. Every time he stopped playing, he was only going to play like 5 songs or 10 songs. Every time he stopped playing a song, everyone in the crowd was yelling out songs for him to play because nobody had seen him play in 5 years, and they all had stuff they wanted to play. And I just knew, like, if I shouted out the song that I wanted to hear, he wasn't going to do it. But I figured I might as well give it a shot. So I yelled out, he stopped playing a song, and I yelled out, "Born for Me!" And I knew he heard me, and he looked around, and he said, I could do that one. And already I was like, wow, yeah, right. Okay, I'll try it. When the loneliest eyes and the emptiest arms finally decide to meet, with a head in a lap, a tongue tied in knots, and the loneliest eyes try to speak. You were born for me, beautiful and blue. I could die here with you. You were born for me, beautiful and blue. Stay here with you. For a couple of nights, you could say you're my wife. You could stay, run away if you please. The heaviest head, the emptiest hands. You'll be safe in the light when we kiss, when we breathe. You were born for me, beautiful and blue. I could die here with you. You were born for me, beautiful and blue. I could die here with you. I can't bear it, 'cause I can't share it with anybody in my little world. And I can't hide it, I'll never find it with another girl. You're born for me, beautiful and blue. Die here with you. You're born for me, beautiful and blue. I could die here with you. I can't bear to try and share you. But I'm the one to talk, you're the one that's free. When you forget me, and then you let me fade away, you'll always be born for me, beautiful and blue. I could die here with you. Born for me, beautiful and blue. Stay here with you. Yes. Of course, he totally fucked it up when he played it that day. He didn't seem to know any of the chords or the words.